Chapter 429. The weather in Nathanar City was a little humid, which made Sia a little uncomfortable. This city was about the same size as Star City and Central City, but unlike Star City, where everyone was as busy as clockwork, the greenery in the city was excellent, and the citizens were very relaxed. If one could adapt to the weather here, this would be a city with a very high quality of life. But today, the peace of the city was disturbed. Not far away, there was a fire, and black smoke covered half of the sky. Many citizens stopped and asked each other what was going on. The police were evacuating the crowd loudly. The whole city was in turmoil. Over there, both of them had excellent eyesight. It took them a little time to find the two people fighting through the black smoke. Looking at the destruction and chaos on the scene, Thea guessed most of it. Now that she had found the target, she took a closer look and found it was as expected. There was indeed a Kryptonian with a full-level demolition passive attribute in the battle. But today, the Kryptonians were on the passive side. Kara Danvers, a Supergirl with long brownish-black hair, was wearing casual clothes and cloth shoes, was being chased by a burly man who was nearly 2 meters tall. He had an ugly wrinkle on his forehead and was holding a giant axe. Is this little girl also a Kryptonian? Fiora saw Kara Danvers at a glance. Yes, she is also from the Iyer family. Her original name is Kara Zwa Iyer. On Earth, she was called Kara Danvers. Sia looked at the battle scene. Kara Danvers' overall quality was actually much higher than his opponent's. It was just that he did not know how to use his strength. He only used the same few moves back and forth. It's too ugly. Fiora resisted the urge to watch for a minute. Kara Danvers did not have any fighting skills, which made Fiora, who was proud of his skills, very uncomfortable. Thea did not comment. Superman's fighting style was not delicate either. The Supergirl was from the same family as him, and she had the style of the Iyer family. The Iyer family was the #1 cheat clan on Krypton. At first, it was said that they had sent away Superman. In fact, during the few minutes when the planet was destroyed, a bunch of people from the Iyer family had escaped. What was even more outrageous was that they had sent Superman's dog to Earth. It was a dog that could fly and absorb sunlight and heat rays with a red cloak. At this time, Superman's parents actually didn't know that she was going to run away. The husband and wife were very pretentious and cold as they hugged each other and watched the planet explode. Thea really couldn't understand how their minds worked. After patiently watching for another minute, Fiora couldn't help but ask, "Can we fight here? I want to teach her how the Kryptonians fight." Thea scanned her surroundings. This was an oil refinery, and the aftermath of their battle had turned the place into a mess. "It's troublesome to fight here. Let's go to Gruder's place." In order to make it easier for her subordinates to contact each other, she had built a permanent portal on the planet controlled by Grud. There was no need to be afraid of fighting there, so it was the most suitable place for teaching. "Control them. I'll leave the man to you." After saying that, Thea took out a magic tool and threw it on the spot. Then, she quickly drew a magic circle to communicate with the long-distance coordinates. With a little sense of her spiritual power, she found the location. "You've damaged the city too much. Follow me," Thea called out. Thanks to her years of torment, the little Supergirl could still recognize her. Seeing that Fiora had knocked out the strong man with a punch, although she didn't know what the blue portal in front of her was, she hesitated for a moment and followed them into it. Wow! Suddenly, she saw the purple sky, which was completely different from the plants, buildings, and gravity on Earth. Kara Danvers knew that she had come to an alien planet. "You're Miss Thea? I remember you." Before Kara could finish her words, she was interrupted by Fiora, who was wearing a cold face. "Your fighting style is too crude. You could have dodged the punch at the beginning and then kicked sideways. But you actually chose to retreat." Fiora blabbered on and on. At first, Kara Danvers was a little annoyed. No one would be happy to be scolded by a stranger. But after a closer look, she could see the difference. You're a Kryptonian." "Of course, I'm Fiora. I lived in Area B15 of Area 115, which was not far from your home. Your mother was my instructor." Fiora talked about the past of Krypton. Unlike Superman, who came to Earth when he was born, Supergirl left Krypton when she was 12 years old. She had deep feelings for her hometown, especially when she heard that Fiora knew her mother. Her eyes were a little red. "Be strong. Your mother once taught me something." Fiora grabbed Kara's collar and spat on her face as if she was training a new recruit. Kara felt that Fiora was an elder. She glanced at Thea from the corner of her eyes and shrank her neck like a quail. Thea gave her a kind smile. This girl was 2 years younger than her and was 18 years old. Perhaps Kryptonians were generally naive, and their personalities were like minors. Ignoring the fact that they were of different blood lineages, Thea looked at her like she was looking at her own sister. Fiora talked non-stop for 5 minutes before Kara came to her senses. "Why did you bring me here?" "I want to train you in fighting style and method like this guy on the ground." Fiora kicked the alien who was knocked out by her punch. "This guy is no match for you." Kara's brows furrowed. She was not very confident now that she had fought so close to death before. The alien stood up shakily after being kicked. At first, he was also shocked by the drastic change in his surroundings. He only remembered that he was like a ferocious tiger, swinging his axe like a tiger. He was about to chop the enemy to death, but how did he end up here in the blink of an eye? However, his combat experience was far better than the muddle-headed Supergirl. He immediately realized that there were enemies around. Thea stood in the distance with a faint smile. He could not see her specific strength. However, Fiora was very close to him and realized that he was an enemy. Without thinking, she chopped down with her axe. Before Kara could tell her to be careful, Fiora grabbed the giant axe with one hand. She continued to talk to Kara as if nothing had happened. "I just arrived on Earth not long ago. You are far better than me in terms of exposure to the yellow sun. However, you have not even used 10% of your strength. Watch me." Fiora let go of her hand and lowered her strength to Kara's level. She grabbed the handle of the alien's axe and pulled him to the side. She lifted him up with the tip of her left foot, turned around, and kicked the alien's face with her right foot. "See? You have to use all the strength in your body to fight, not just punch and kick." Fiora did not feel that there was anything to brag about defeating a brute. She stretched out her hand and wanted to raise the target again. Sia chuckled. This unlucky guy was directly knocked unconscious. She tapped lightly with her index finger, and the brawny man was dragged back. A golden light of healing lit up on his body. "Let me treat this guy. We have plenty of time to practice." Chapter 430. While Thea was treating the injured, Fiora gave Kara some on-the-spot guidance. Thea listened from time to time. The Kryptonians did not have as many combat styles as the Earth. Their martial arts were like a science, and they were all precisely calculated. They pursued simplicity and efficiency. They used their high attributes to crush their opponents and finish the battle within a minute. This was the traditional combat style of the Kryptonians. "Come on." Fiora patted Kara's shoulders and pushed her toward the alien who had been treated again, as if she was sending a boxer to the ring. Kara Danvers felt a lot more confident, perhaps because he had a fellow Kryptonian and a seemingly friendly little sister like Sia. He gently cheered himself up and punched the muddle-headed brawny man in the chest. The poor muscular alien was hit hard before he could understand what was going on. Purple blood sprayed all over the ground like a fountain. However, this alien was very experienced in combat. He swung his axe in midair and forced Kara to step back and regain his balance. "Don't just watch. Attack his lower body when he just landed. Why are you flying when you are fighting face to face? There are too many unnecessary movements. Stare at your opponent's shoulder. He is going to throw his right fist. Don't be afraid of getting hurt. The body of a Kryptonian can take any attack. You have to dodge that axe. Can't you see such a bright energy attack?" Fiora was constantly correcting her movements. Kara was embarrassed by the scolding. But now that his life was no longer in danger, the Kryptonian's fighting spirit was gradually ignited. His punches and kicks were gradually becoming more and more like a fighter. The alien on the opposite side also learned some information through the battle. Although he did not know where he was, he knew that it was the two women who were playing tricks. Fiora sent him flying with 2 punches. He knew that he was no match for Fiora even if he was in perfect condition. He attacked Kara with his axe and flew toward Thea. Dishonest guy. Thea's fighting style was not suitable for Kara, and she had no intention of teaching him. She leaned slightly to the side to avoid the opponent's attack. She moved briskly to the side and raised her leg to kick the alien's ribs. When he was in pain, she changed her kick to a flick and turned around to do a standard taekwondo spin kick to send him back. Thea's kick was skillful, and the alien was not injured. He was still unconvinced and wanted to continue attacking. Bam! Bam! 2 orange energy beams hit the ground under his feet. Thea pointed to Kara, indicating that this was his opponent. Is this a heat ray? Super asked, a little confused. No, it is not easy to explain it in a few sentences. Just know that I am a pure earthling, explained to Thea lazily. Kara Danvers nodded as if he understood. He continued to fight with the sparring partner with a serious expression. The next half a day made her very happy. She had been suppressing her strength since she came to Earth, and now she suddenly released it. The Kryptonian fighting genes were completely activated, and every cell in her body seemed to be cheering. Her every punch and kick would burst out with great power. Her real energy did not change, but her combat power had at least tripled. While she was happy, the sparring partner was unhappy. He had come with an axe to take revenge on the Kryptonians. He could not beat a tough guy like Superman, so he set his eyes on the weak-looking Supergirl. The plan had been carried out smoothly. He had been training with a thirsty axe for many years, and he was about to kill Supergirl. But he never expected that 2 female devils would jump out of nowhere. Fiora did not fight, and she was in a guiding position which was acceptable. Sia, on the other hand, was too despicable. The sparring partner had already been knocked unconscious 14 times by Supergirl. From his skull to his nose, to his arms and thighs, there wasn't a single spot on his body that wasn't injured. Even such a serious injury had been pulled back. When he felt that he was getting weaker and weaker, Thea injected him with some kind of injection to make it look like they were evenly matched. His whole body's potential was mobilized. It was very cool at that time, as if he could smash a planet with a punch. But now he was paralyzed on the ground. He missed the Kryptonians' Fort Ross very much. Thinking of the past, he regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. When he first got out, he should have gone to other planets to beg for food instead of being fooled into coming to Earth to take revenge. His strong body had shrunk by 2 sizes, and he had lost at least 30 pounds. Thea looked at this guy who was staring at the sky with dull eyes. After checking, she said helplessly, "Your body's potential has been overdrawn, and the vitality of your cells has dropped to the lowest level. If you want to fight again, you will need at least a year of rest." Hearing her conclusion, Kara and Fiora were a little regretful, but they had no objection. In order to treat this guy, Thea had cast at least 100 healing spells. She was not related to him, so it was definitely not the kind that consumed her body. Her inhumane spells triggered the body's self-recovery mechanism, artificially accelerating the body's recovery. This spell was a weak energy-absorbing spell that Sargon had mastered. It leaned towards the school of necromancy. Now that she had changed it, the gloomy atmosphere disappeared, and it was replaced by a sacred and inviolable aura. There were many who changed from sacred spells to necromancy spells, but there were not many who changed from necromancy to sacred spells. After that, she added a lot of enhancement spells, strength spells, defense spells, and acceleration spells to him. These spells were definitely harmless, but they could not withstand the long duration. 1 hour was fine, but 4 hours was not enough. The speed and strength that far exceeded the body's limit acted on the body for a long time, and the damage to the bones, muscles, and internal organs was almost destructive. The injection in the end was not the genetic optimization that the alien had hoped for, but a bottle of hallucinogen made by scientific means. The alien thought that his strength had soared, but in fact, the injection had deceived his brain and removed all the restrictions on his body, resulting in an illusion that he had exceeded his limit. With all kinds of destruction inside and Supergirl's fierce beating on the outside, the alien who was determined to take revenge finally could not hold on. He threw away his axe and lay on the ground, unable to get up no matter how hard he kicked. Thea felt that this guy was very cooperative, and she was ready to fulfill his wish and send him back to the place where his dream began, so that he could continue to be a glorious prisoner. When the three women dragged the prisoner away, Grud finally came back from his patrol. The gorilla was even taller and more burly than before. With a height of 5 meters, no one would think that he was a magician instead of a physical type. Gorilla! Supergirl's mouth formed an O shape. She had lived on Earth for many years, so she knew the common animals. She could not understand how this distant alien species could exist on Earth. Fiora and Gruder had a lot of dealings, so she gave a simple introduction.